Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we have some very exciting news out of the state of Iowa for the 2026 governor election, where Iowa Democrat Rob Sand officially launches a campaign for governor. Now you may be thinking, well, it's Iowa. How competitive could Iowa really get? Well, that's what makes Rob Sand's candidacy very interesting. Rob Sand is currently the only Democratic elected statewide Democrat in the state of Iowa right now. So that's what makes this very, very interesting. He was reelected as the auditor of the state of Iowa in 2022. It was a very close election, but he won 50.12% to 49.88% against Republican Ton Halber. From a candidate quality standpoint, getting someone that's run before and won statewide is usually a very big criteria and aspect of having a strong candidate run. And Democrats being the only Democratic candidate to win statewide in Iowa in 2022, and I believe in 2024, is a very big get for them. With Rob Sand now entering the 2026 governor's race, it gives the Democrats two potential candidates, Paul Dahl and Rob Sand, though certainly I would say Rob Sand starts out as the stronger of the two Democrats. On the Republican side of things right now, Brad Sherman, a former state representative, is declared running. Randy Feenstra, the U.S. representative from Iowa's 4th District, has an announcement pending in the next few days or so, likely going to be entering the race as well. Another state senator, Mike Bosselette, has formed an exploratory committee with several other Republicans publicly expressed interest in potentially running. Right now, the political predictions for this race, the Cook Political Report has it as solid Republican, Sabado Crystal Ball has it as likely Republican, but Inside Elections has it as a battleground. So the ratings, even though 2 out of the 3 are favoring Republicans, they don't seem to have a consensus rating on the state of Iowa and how this race is going to begin for 2026. Looking at Rob Sand's official governor website, it reads that Rob Sand was born in Decorah, home to the Vikings, some of the best pizza in the state. Rob started his career in public service as an assistant Iowa Attorney General and Iowa's chief public corruption prosecutor. The people of Iowa have elected Rob twice now as state auditor, first in 2018, defeating an incumbent Republican and becoming the first Democrat to hold the office since the 1960s, and reelected again in 2022 when he was the only Democrat reelected statewide. Now, as for what this means for 2026, well, just looking at the recent election results in the state of Iowa, Iowa was one of the states from 2016 to 2024 trended towards Donald Trump by approximately 3.8%. If you want to go back even farther, since 2012, Iowa has moved from 2012 to 2024 about 19 points to the Republican direction, making it one of the most Republican trending states over the last about 12 years to 16 years or 14 years or so in all of the United States. Iowa is becoming one of the fastest growing Republican states in the country in terms of electoral margins. Looking at the presidential race in 2024, looking at the past results, Trump won the state by 13.2% in 2024. Trump won by 8.2% in 2020. Trump won by 9.4% in 2016. So at the presidential level, the state seems to be a pretty reliable, likely Republican state based off the last 3 elections. The Senate level, things are similar, but also a little bit different. Iowa voted for Chuck Grassley by 12.2%. In 2022, that is a likely Republican rating. But in 2020, it voted for Journey Ernst by only 6.5%. So even though it is likely Republican, it still was a little bit more competitive than you may have think it would be. 2016, it voted for Chuck Grassley by 24 points, a safe Republican win. Joni Ernst was first elected by 8.3% in 2014. So again, mostly likely Republican, but does show some signs of being competitive. The governor's history for Iowa: in 2022, Kim Reynolds won re-election by 18.5%. In 2018, she was elected by only 2.7% against her Democratic opponent. So at least as 2018 goes, it does show Iowa in the right environment is capable of having very, very competitive and close elections at the governor's race. And seeing as 2026 should be a Democratic wave year, similar to what 2018 was, this could suggest Iowa has the potential to become a very, very close governor's race. Governor Kim Reynolds also plays a big role in this as well, because in a new Morning Consult poll, it showed that Kim Reynolds is currently the most unpopular governor in the United States right now. It is worth noting her overall approval rating is negative 5%, which in the grand scheme of things is obviously not good for an incumbent governor of a very likely Republican state. Still, -5 is not as bad as like -20 or something, but at negative 5% going into 2026, which is supposed to be a very good night for the Democrats, could potentially give some Democrats optimism that maybe Iowa could get close in 2026. The current generic ballot, last time I refreshed the page, currently shows Democrats leading over the Republicans by 2%. Whereas President Trump's approval rating, it was about 4.9. It actually went down a little bit. It's about 4.9% now from approved to disapprove, and overall negative 4.9%. It's expected to change, obviously, from now in November 2026. The question will be how much. But the outgoing governor, Kim Reynolds, not running for re-election, even though she could, and having pretty low approval numbers, is an indicative sign that Iowa could potentially get competitive in 2026. The question is 2026 going to be as big of a blue Democratic night as 2018 was? And if that's the case, that would be the Democrats winning the generic ballot or so by about 8 to 9%, where the Democrats are only up by 2 by now. It's very possible Democrats get up to that level over the next about year and a half or so, but it's going to be remaining to be seen how things go right now. Right now, I do think Rob Sand is one of the best Democratic candidates probably in the entire state of Iowa. I would even say probably is the best Democratic candidate, but Iowa's moved so much to the Republican direction. I do think the Republicans do start out as a narrow favorite in the state of Iowa. I'm right around the edge between being a lean and likely rating. I think right now Rob Sand would lose to the Republican by about 6 points at this time. So I actually think this election could get very close. And if the Democratic momentum builds up for 2026, I certainly could see this race falling under a 5% margin of victory for the Republicans. But at this point, seeing Iowa become a tilt Democratic win for the Democrats is something that I think is possible. But at this point in time, I don't think it's the likeliest outcome at this time. Though I will say, if Iowa does go for Rob Sand and it flips, a lot of comparisons I would make to 2018 with the state of Kansas, where the Republican incumbent governor who was retiring was not very popular, and the Republican candidates to replace him weren't that great, and that ended up leading in the Democrat winning in a very close election. I would not be totally shocked if that did happen in Iowa, but I do think the Republicans have a slight advantage at this time. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. If you did, make sure to leave a comment below. Tell me your thoughts. You think Rob Sand could win the Iowa's governor's race in 2026? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.